What's up, music fans of the internet? Welcome back to last week's album. I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin.
And this week we are reviewing Heal by Strand of Oaks. Excuse me. But before we go any further, we're going to start things off like we always do. Drinking a beer.
Word. Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Strand of Oaks is Tim Showalter. And Heal is Strand of Oaks' fourth full-length album. Tim is no stranger to the lows that life can throw at you. Right after this album was recorded and right before the mixing sessions, Tim and his wife were involved in a car accident with a semi, which left him near death right before the mixing sessions, which he didn't tell the producer. By the way, to all you recording artists at home, if you're involved in a very serious car accident, tell your producer. They might not be too happy with you if you don't do that. This is a very deep album. Some of the near-death experience there is kind of palpable, among other things. On the website, he had a very good quote, which I thought did a great job of describing this album. He says, "Heal embodies that feeling of catharsis and rebirth, desperation and euphoria, confusion and clarity. It is deeply personal and unwittingly anthemic." Additionally, this also is the second consecutive week in which last week's album is reviewing an album in which the album title is in all caps.
Yeah, just like Zaba from last week. Funny thing you mentioned that, Derek. He says that the album title should, in fact, be read in all caps. Tim says, "It's a command, and I'm yelling at myself," which I think comes through on the album.
I completely agree. After I got done with this, I had a little scab, and I was like, "Heal! Damn it, heal!" I'm still waiting for it to do that, but, you know, I tried. So, Kevin, what does Heal sound like?
Derek, I think that Heal sounds like My Morning Jacket, Bruce Springsteen and Phil Collins exorcising their demons in a group therapy session.
I like that. I can hear all those references. I think Heal sounds like Bon Iver and Fleet Foxes Foster the People. And that's a double entendre on the last one there.
Thanks for pointing that out, Derek.
Otherwise, it might be confusing. So, I just thought I'd point that out. So, key tracks. Kevin, what do you have here?
I chose the track Shut In and the title track, Heal. What about you, Derek?
Both fantastic songs. Both fantastic songs. I actually had Goshen 97 and Plymouth. And Goshen 97 opens up the album, so I'll kick us off there. Goshen 97 starts off with just pop-punk guitar chords, a squirrely guitar riff, a subtle synth hook backing that, charging drum beat, and just infectiously catchy vocal melody. The lyrics talks about this magical moment when Tim discovered playing and writing and recording music in the garage or basement of his own home. Goshen actually is, on one part, a biblical reference to the land promised to the Jews while they were in slavery under the Egyptians, and also just happens to be the town in Indiana from where he hails. So I really like, immediately right off the bat, there's kind of this double entendre here, A, being Goshen 97, where he found music and all that stuff, and secondly, music is an escape. He recognized that. There's freedom to that. There's an idyllic promised land, if you will, that accompanies writing music and just the escape that it creates. So I really dug that. And the lyrics really reflect this. At one point he says, "Then I found my dad's old tape machine. That's where all the magic began. I was lonely, but I was having fun." And I kind of related to that because I was a lonely kid and I liked playing music. So that's cool. I dig that. And if you're wondering if the guitars sound kind of like Dinosaur Jr., No, You're Not Crazy, Jay Mascis of Dinosaur Jr. fame actually guested on lead guitar here. So right from the beginning, I thought he really drew in listeners with this great upbeat sound and just expounding on the magnificence that is music. I was drawn in right away.
Wow, Derek, deep get on the original Goshen. I had no idea. I knew it was an Indiana reference. I didn't know about the historical reference. So,
dude, don't keep those Jews down. They're gonna find their way to the promised land.
For my first key track, I chose Shut In. It starts with this really awesome opening line. He says, "I was born in the middle, maybe too late. Everything good had been made." You mentioned you could relate to the lyrics in that song, Derek. I could relate to this. I always felt like I should have been born in the 70s. Everything cool was happening then. But I digress. We get some booming drums, rumbling piano, emotional vocals here, this really waning guitar arpeggio hook. And later there's these ringing, echoing synths. It's very reverbed, anthemic guitar solo. And at 3:20, it kind of shifts into this super slowed down, balladish outro where it's just piano and voice. Really nice. Overall, the message here, sometimes you have to be alone and shut yourself in to get better. And like any great song, this one really ends too soon. I wish it kept going, but it doesn't. Anyway, still a great song. What was your next key track, Derek?
Plymouth, man. Plymouth is my next key track. Excuse me, and I really think you're echoing a lot of my thoughts here. I thought this one ended too soon as well. Opens with piano chords, just muddy, albeit subtle bass guitar riff, steady, almost distant snare bass drum beat, and just very clear vocals, which I thought was a little bit different from the rest of the album, as I thought a lot of the vocals were somewhat affected, just kind of added a little bit of distance, if you will. But here, I mean, it was clear, vulnerable. The chorus opens up. The synth really creates this eerie, albeit reassuring chorus of angelic ahs in the background, which I thought added a lot to the sound here. Lyrics, once again, heart on a sleeve, acknowledging and or giving credit to those that supported him through the good times and bad to continue writing music. And once again, I thought this kind of became a theme, but I felt like, especially in this song, every lyric contained a lyrical uppercut, whereas I feel like a lot of music today has just pedestrian jabs. So I thought this one just really, hits you in the face with meaning. One example, he says, shower your loves with your kisses, shower the world with tears, take advantage of those that got you here. Just really, and I think once again you hit the point right there. Kind of 70s rock sounding, but at the same time the emotions just really carry the day here. Just really great song.
Yeah, we will transition from 70s to 80s. My next key track is title track Heal, although it should be yelled. I'm not going to yell at you guys. We'll just go with Heal. It's got this popping percussion, very haunting, ghostly synths, bouncing bass. You get these hushed, rushed, and impassioned verses. The message here is exactly what it sounds like, a recap of dark times and this sort of self-help message to get through them. The vocals get kind of deep and weird towards the end, and then more loud and wailing. And overall, it just has this great 80s vibe to it. And this is really where I hear the Phil Collins reference that I mentioned earlier standing out above all other tracks from the album. So, Heal, great song.
Kevin, thank you for not yelling that at us. And that brings us to Best Lyric. Kevin, what did you have?
I'm going to stick with my first key track, which is Shut In, and the line is the very last line of the song. It goes, "The night was cold and black, but the sun was in my eyes." And I thought this really just captured the whole vibe of this album, the darkness versus light that comes with catharsis and getting through those tough times to better times. So just really succinctly packed it into one great line. What'd you have, Derek?
Kevin, I could not have asked for a better segue because I feel like mine really addresses those points. Mine also comes from one of my key tracks, Plymouth. It says, "Sometimes I move like shadows. Sometimes I move like the wind. Most days I end up where I begin." And I thought that was a really interesting introspective lyric there. You know, one kind of balancing the light and the dark, shadows and wind. Wind I'm attributing to light anyway, so deal with it. But then you know, at the end of it, sometimes I feel like we as humans want to see constant progress. And right here he's saying, yeah, sometimes I just end up right where I started, you know. And I just thought that was a very thoughtful point. I mean, sometimes you need to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, I didn't do as much today as I wanted to, but at least I didn't move a step back. You know, I think there's still some hopefulness there, even if the results don't necessarily reflect as such. So I just thought it was kind of a cool lyric right there, for all reasons that I just explained. And that brings us to overall rating. So Kevin, Heal by Strand of Oaks, what do you think?
I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5, Derek. I thought it was very reflective, self-deprecating, also very honest and direct at the same time. I thought he did a great job of capturing the sounds and vibes of his own nostalgia with those 80s and 90s sounds, without, you know, straight copying, without getting too cheesy with it, doing something different and nice. For me, not every song really hit its stride, but when they do, they really just rocked my face off, so I really appreciated that. And I really like how he's amped up his sound. You know, I think this is a better, I don't know, suit for him to wear than the sort of acoustic folk stuff he's done prior, especially given the context of this album. It needs to be loud and cathartic and screaming at times. And I think this will bode much better for him moving forward than that previous sound I mentioned. So 3 out of 5. What do you think, Derek?
Kevin, I'm giving this 4 out of 5. I thought the lyrical emotion he brought in, I thought was fantastic. I mean, I almost felt at times I could, you know, if we were spinning this on a record player, because people still do that, right? And just stop it and play the next, you know, whatever, 10 seconds. It would be a powerful lyric, which I think is fantastic. Musically, you know, I completely agree. I think this was a great step forward from some of the strong folky sound he had earlier. I really liked the way the synths were introduced. You know, I thought it was pretty seamless now and again, just how it all meshed together. I agree with you that some songs maybe didn't hit their stride all the way, but I think overall, I think most of them did here. And once again, you know, you combine whatever shortcomings there may have been musically, I think he totally made up for lyrically. And I think everyone should check this out for that reason. I mean, hey, if you're having a bad day, check this out. You'll be feeling a little bit better about your day. So there's something to be said for that. So there you have it. A 4 from myself, a 3 from Kevin. So that makes a combined 7 out of 10, which means you should probably go check this out. So there you have it for Heal. We're not yelling at you. By
Heal!
Kevin is yelling at you. Thanks again for joining us here at last week's album. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on any of our other social media outlets. And don't forget to check us out next week where we'll continue talking about good music. So thanks for checking us out. Talk to you next week. Cheers.
Okay.